Morning, children. Once again, I welcome you all for this online class. And today we are in part 2 of History Lesson 3 Emergence of New Kingdoms in South India, later Cholas and Pandyas. And in our last class, we studied about the later Cholas. And in today's class, we are going to study about later Pandyas. Okay. So, like the Cholas, the Pandyas were also part of the Sangam age. Okay, so the Pandyas were one of the three strong kings of southern India during the Sangam age, that is from 300 BC to 300 AD, nearly 600 years. Okay, so during the Sangam age, the capital city of the Pandya kingdom was Korkai, and it was a port city. Port city means the city which is located in the near the sea, like how we have Chennai. Okay, Chennai is also a port city. Likewise, for the Pandyas, they had Korkai as their uh, capital. Okay, and Korkai is famous for pearl hunting. Okay, pearl hunting, that means Muttu Kulithal. So the local people of the Pandya kingdom, they engaged in pearl hunting. Okay, so what is pearl hunting? People uh, they dip themselves into the sea. Okay, holding their breath, they dip themselves into the sea and they go deep into the uh, sea floor. Okay, and they collect the pearls. Okay, they collect the pearls from the oyster. Okay, so this is called pearl hunting. Okay, so these people are famous for pearl hunting by the capital Korkai. Okay, but later on, the capital city was moved from Korkai to Madurai. Okay, so this Pandya kingdom is very much famous for uh, development of Tamil literature. Okay, so the Tamil poets and writers, authors were given much importance, and they contributed uh, great writings to the Tamil culture. Okay, so Madurai is also called one of the centers of culture, Tamil culture. Okay, and moreover, the Pandyas, after the 3rd century AD, when the Calabras captured the southern part of India, uh, the Pandya kingdom, they became stronger during the 6th century AD, and they defeated the Calabras. Okay, Calabras were tribal people. Okay, so the Pandyas became strong enough to defeat the Calabras, and they established their kingdom in the South India during the 6th century AD. But later, during the 9th century, Pandyas were defeated by the later Cholas. Okay, when later Cholas became strong enough, Pandyas were defeated by them. Okay, and again from 9th century to 13th century, the later Cholas, they ruled over the late southern part of India. Okay, so during the 13th century, again the Pandyas became stronger, and they established their territory in the southern part of India until 16th century. The later Pandyas ruled over the South India. Okay, now we move into the next topic, revival of Pandya kingdom, that is from 600 to 920 AD. Okay, so as I said earlier, the 6th century AD is the time when the Pandyas defeated the Calabras and established their throne in South India. So, the most important king, the name of the king who defeated the Calabras was Kadun Kon. Okay, Kadun Kon was the Pandya king who defeated the Calabras. So after Kadun Kon, he was succeeded by two other kings. So the first king name is Arikesari Maravarman. Okay, Arikesari Maravarman is the next king, strong king, who established his throne in 642 AD. So he ruled uh, around 32 years. He ruled the southern part of India around 32 years. Okay, he was a Jainist, okay, believer of Jainism, but he was converted to Hinduism, that is Saivism, worship of Lord Shiva by the famous saint Thirugnana Sambandar. Okay. So Arikesari Maravarman, he successfully defeated the Chera kings, Chola kings, Pallava kings, and even he defeated the Sinhalese from Sri Lanka. Okay, and Arikesari Maravarman uh, is also named as Kun Pandian, who persecuted the saints. Okay, so it was told that Arikesari, he killed nearly 8,000 Jains at a time because of the vengeance he had in the Jainism faith. Okay, so the next strong king after Arikesari in the Pandya kingdom was Parantaka Nedunchalian. Parantaka Nedunchalian time period is from 756 to 815 AD. So this famous king was named in the Velvikudi copper plates. Okay, his name was inscribed in the Velvikudi copper plates. So this king he expanded the Pandyan territory to a higher to more area. Okay, including Tanjavur, Tiruchi, Salem, even Coimbatore district. So he extended towards east and even towards south. Okay, and the kings who came after Parantaka Nedunchalian, they were not very strong. Okay, so they were defeated by the Pallavas and Cholas, and finally the last king Rajasimha too was defeated by Parantaka I, and he fled into a village during 920 AD. And finally, at this time, the Pandya rule was ended the rule of the Pandyas. Okay. So now let's move on to the next topic, rise of later Pandyas. So in the last topic we studied about the revival of Pandya kingdom from 600 AD to 920 AD. How Kadunkon, who defeated the Kalabras during 600 AD, and finally during 920 AD, the Pandya king Rajasimha was defeated and ended the Pandya rule, which was started by Kadungon. And now we are focusing about how the later Pandyas they rise their initial position into high dominion. Okay, the rise of later Pandyas. So this is the time period from 1190 to 1310. So as we studied about the later Cholas, we studied about the Pandyas also, isn't it? So during the final stage of the Chola kingdom, the last king of Chola dynasty, Adi Rajendra, he was killed in a local civil unrest. And finally, what happened? Kulothunga Chola I, he became the king. Okay. So during the Kulothunga's time, what happened? He uh, uh, he was involved in the in compromising the peace of the local people. So in concentrating the peace within the local territory, what happened? The other territories belong to the Chola kingdom. They began to declare themselves independent and they became strong. Okay, so one among them was the Pandyas. Uh, so what happened? The Pandyas, they declared themselves independent and they started to become strong during the 13th century. And Madurai became their capital city as early in the Sangam age. Okay, and during this time, during the 13th century, one of the foreign travelers named Marco Polo from Venice. Okay, Venice in Europe, Italy. Okay, he visited the Coil. Okay, Coil is a port city of the Pandyas twice during 1288 and 1293. And when he visited the Pandya kingdom, he noticed the port city of Coil was full of ships from the countries of Arabia and China, and there were a great trade business went on between the Pandya kings and the foreigners of Arab and China. So he recorded in his letter stating that during that time Pandya kingdom was one of the most richest kingdoms in the whole world. Okay, and they produced the most precious gems and pearls, which was highly precious and were and was very costly. Okay, very precious. So he also recorded that the practice of sati and polygamy was engaged during the time of the Pandya kings. Okay, sati you all know, isn't it? So sati means nothing but when the husband dies, when they set fire on the dead body of the husband, the wife also must die along with the dead husband live. That is called sati system. Okay, husband is dead and he is about to set fire. The dead body of the dead husband was set fire, and in the live fire, the live wife also should get into and die. Okay, polygamy means marrying more than one woman. Okay, so the polygamy was also practiced by the kings. They married several women. Okay, okay. Next topic, Sadaya Varman Sundara Pandian, year 1251 to 1268. So Sadayavarman Sundarapandian is another king who extended his kingdom throughout the Tamil Nadu. So the entire Tamil Nadu was brought under the control of the Pandya kingdom. Not only Tamil Nadu, up to Nellore in Andhra Pradesh was under the control of Sundara Pandian. Okay, and also he held the Hoysalas in check. That is the Hoysalas. He continuously resisted Hoysala attack. Okay, since he was more stronger than Hoysalas, the Hoysalas tried to attack him constantly, but he continuously resisted the attack of Hoysalas. Okay, and also the Chera ruler, okay, uh, the chief of Malanadu, okay, he was also defeated by Sundara Pandian, and he accepted his defeat and he became a feudatory, and he paid tribute to Sundara Pandian. That is, feudatory means the king who pays tax to the small king who pays tax to the higher king. Okay, so the Chera king, he surrendered himself, okay, to Sundara Pandian. Okay, so when the later Cholas they became weak and defeated, uh, one king Boja king of Malwa region, he took advantage about the weakness of the Chola king and he started to attack the southern part of India. He declared war against Sundarapandian and he fighted with Sundarapandian. Okay, so in the war at a place called Kannur, Sundarapandian defeated the Boja king Someshwara. Okay, so he defeated him. He also defeated the chieftain of Kadalur, Kanchipuram, Arcad, and Salem. Okay, so several small kings he defeated them and he collected tax. Okay, they became feudatory. Feudatory means கப்பம் கட்டுகிற குறுநில மன்னர்கள். So whenever a king defeated another king, the defeated king will become feudatory. Okay, and they have to continuously pay tax, tribute to the king who defeated them. Okay. Uh, so after Sundara Pandian, Maravarman Kulasegaran ruled the Pandya kingdom successfully for 40 years. Okay, so he had two children, two sons. Okay, the eldest son name is Sundara Pandian. Okay, not the Sundara Pandian we studied moment ago. Okay, he was uh, Sadayavarman Sundara Pandian. Okay, so this eldest son was just Sundara Pandian. Okay, and the younger son was Veera Pandian. Okay, so he had two sons. So what happened? The father Maravarman Kulasegaran, when he became old, okay, he established the younger son Veera Pandian as the next king. Okay, so what happened? This provoked the anger of the elder son Sundara Pandian, because only the king have to appoint the elder son as the next king, but here he appointed his younger son. So the elder son Sundara Pandian, he got angry and he killed his father Maravarman Kulasegaran, and also he defeated uh, his brother, okay, his brother Sundara Pandian, and uh, he became the next king. So what happened? His brother Sundara Pandian, he ran for life. Okay, because he is about to get killed. So he fled. He ran to Delhi. Okay, and he sought help from the Delhi Sultan Alauddin Khilji. Okay, so what happened? Because of this, the Malik Kafur, okay, Malik Kafur from Delhi, he set a plan to invade, to attack the Pandya kingdom with the help of Sundara Pandian, who ran to Delhi. He wanted to capture the southern kingdom. Okay, so he came. Malik Kafur, he invaded the Pandya kingdom, but when he came to the southern India, there was nobody to fight with him. Okay, everybody surrendered. So he looted the precious materials found in the Pandya kingdom and he went away. Okay, so after return of Malik Kafur, the Pandya kingdom was broken into pieces and divided by the family of the Pandya kings. Okay, and finally, uh, in South India, first time in South India, Muslim Muslim rule was established by the Delhi Sultans. Okay, so now let's move into next topic, polity and society. That is the government, the king's government and the social life of the people. So Madurai has been their capital city for long period, since Madurai was a strong city. Okay, and it was also called as Kudal Nagar, and the king was traditionally revered. Okay, he was honored as Kudal Nagar Kavalan. Okay, he was nicknamed, revered as Kudal Kon or Kudal Nagar Kavalan. Okay, so they had a strong military advantage. Pandya kings, they had a strong military advantage because they imported horses from Arab. Okay, so those horses were very strong and they were helpful in the battlefield. So because of importing the horses, their military was very strong. Okay, and also the king, the Pandya king, they claimed that they were ruling according to the Manu Shastra. Okay, Manu Shastra means the book, Vedic book, which gives informations regarding the life of the how a king should conduct the government. Okay, so in Manu Shastra there are hierarchy in the society. Hierarchy means ranks, okay, ranges. Okay. In Vedic religion, we have ranges among uh, uh, caste among people, isn't it? High caste people, low caste people, likewise. So it is based upon the king ruled the country based upon the Manusastra, which shows ranks in the society. Okay, so the people who belong to the high caste, okay, the Brahmins, okay, so they were given settlements, they were given separate lands, okay, so the lands which were gifted to the Brahmin people, high class people, the lands were called Mangalam or Chaturvedi Mangalam, which were fertile land with proper irrigation system, since they belong to the higher community. Okay, the next topic is royal officials, that is the ministers in the royal court of the king. So the prime minister, that is the chief of all the ministers, was named as Uttara Mantri. Okay, so Uttara Mantri is the chief of all the ministers in the court of the king. Okay, and there are some historical scholars, some of the names of the historical scholars of the royal officials were mentioned here. They were Manikya Vasagar, Kulachirayar, Maralan Kari. These are some of the important ministers who worked in the royal official throne. Okay, and the royal secretariat was known as Eluthu Mandabam. Eluthu Mandabam was the place where the secretariat of the king royal people located. Okay, in Chennai we have our secretariat in near beach, isn't it? Near Marina Beach. Likewise, for the Pandya kings, their royal secretariat was named as Eluthu Mandabam. Okay, and the titles of the military commanders were given as Palli Velan, Parantakan Palli Velan, Maran Adithan, and Tennavan Tamilvel. These are the names given to the military commanders. Okay, administrative divisions. How the management of the local government divided. Like the Cholas, later Cholas, which was divided into mandalams, then nadus, then kurrams, and finally gramams. Likewise, the Pandyas are also divided in Valanadu, then Valanadus are further divided into nadus, and nadus into kurrams, and finally kurrams are divided into ur. Okay, ur or village or um, gramam. Okay, the next topic is village administration. So the administration of the village, informations about the village administration was identified from a inscription from Manur, which is in Tirunelveli district, belong to 800 AD, which gives informations about the administration of village. Okay, village in Pandya kingdom. So when we go through the inscription, it gives informations about the Pandya administration, which is similar to the later Cholas. Okay, all the administrative system, it was exactly like the later Cholas. Okay, so the next system is irrigation system. So the Pandya kingdom, they had two important rivers in their territory. One is Vaigai, another one is Tamirabarani. So these two river waters, they were channeled into tanks. Okay, so that they can store enough water, and the water could be used for the irrigation of the crops in agriculture. Okay, so like the Cholas, Pandyas also introduced the new type of irrigation technology, that is we studied about later Cholas, isn't it? The Vadi Vaikal system. Vadi means it is the drainage. Vaikal means the water which is irrigating the farmland. Okay, so the local administrative bodies were employed. Okay, officials, that is chief people, were appointed to take care of the proper irrigation system and repairment of the tanks and channels were taken control by the Pandya kings. Okay, and religion like the Cholas, Pandyas also were patronage of Vedic practices. That is, they worshipped the Hindu Saivate gods. Okay, and Velvikudi copper plate inscriptions mentions the Ashwamedha Yaga done by the Pandya kings. Ashwamedha Yaga is the sacrifice of horses in fire. Okay, to show the king's authority and to for the prosperous rule of the king, they sacrifice horses in the fire. Okay, but even though they were Saivites, mm, they gave equal importance to the Vaishnavism also. So temples of both sects, okay, were Saivism and Vaishnavism were patronized, and lands were gifted to both groups of people. So during this period, Bhakti movement flourished throughout the Pandya kingdom, and the Pandya kings, they promoted and supported the Tamil language and also Sanskrit. Both the languages they promoted. Okay. So the next topic is temples. So the Pandya kings, they did not build any new temples like the Cholas. When you look at the Cholas, they built world famous temples in Tanjavur, Brahadiswara temple, then uh, Gangaikonda Cholapuram temple. They were not like Cholas. But the Pandyas, they renovated the ancient temples. Okay, they decorated. Okay, they uh, added extra things to the temples which was already built. Okay, they added extra gopurams. Okay, extra pillars. Okay, mandapams. They built mandapams in the temples. Okay, and also they patronized the Meenakshi temple in Madurai. They renovated this temple and they added gopuras and mandabas and expanded the premises of the Meenakshi temple in Madurai. And the final topic is trade. So when two of the visitors, the travelers from foreign countries, Marco Polo and Vasaf, they visited Pandya king, they saw huge number of horses were imported in the port of Pandya kingdom. Okay, so these horses were used for ceremonial purpose, that is for sacrifice, and also used for fighting in the battlefield. Okay, so those who were trading in horses were called Kudirai Chettis. Okay, so the trading of the horses were called Kudirai Chettis, and they were very much active in the maritime trade, that is trade by sea route. So the busiest port of the Pandya kingdom was Kayal Pattanam, which is in Thoothukudi district now on the eastern coast. Okay, and the gold coins were used as money during the Pandya kingdom. It was used as circulated as money, and it was called Kasu, Kalanchu, and Pon. Okay, children. So with this, our lesson 3 of history ended. Okay, we'll meet in the next class. See you all.